There are mornings when your eyes open, but your spirit stays asleep. You sit on the edge of your bed carrying invisible weight nobody sees. The world expects you to smile, to perform, to continue pretending everything is fine, while deep inside your mind feels like a battlefield filled with noise, regret, fear, and exhaustion. Some mornings feel heavy before they even begin. Your heart remembers every betrayal. Your mind replays every failure. Your soul quietly asks a question you never say out loud. How much longer can I keep going like this? And yet here you are. Still breathing. Still fighting. Still searching for something that can finally change the way you think, the way you feel, the way you live. That is why this message matters. Because sometimes one sentence can save a life. Sometimes one truth can pull a person out of darkness. Sometimes a few simple words repeated every morning can slowly rewire years of pain, insecurity, self-hatred, and emotional chaos. The ancient Stoics understood something modern people forget every day. Your mind becomes whatever you repeatedly tell it. If you tell yourself you are weak, your spirit collapses. If you tell yourself life is unfair, bitterness grows. If you wake up every day feeding your fears eventually become your identity. But if you learn to speak strength into your own soul, everything begins to change. So before we continue, take one deep breath and understand this clearly. This video is not just motivation. This is mental training. This is emotional warfare. This is how you rebuild yourself from the inside. And if you believe in becoming mentally stronger, emotionally disciplined, calm under pressure, and impossible to break, subscribe to the channel and join this journey with us. Because every video here is designed to sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit through the wisdom of Stoicism. Now listen carefully. The words you whisper to yourself each morning are shaping the person you become. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their minds to chaos. They check their phones. They compare themselves to strangers. They replay stress before their feet even touch the floor. They begin the day anxious, distracted, emotionally reactive, and spiritually empty. And then they wonder why peace feels impossible. But the Stoics believed your morning is sacred. The first moments after waking are powerful because your mind is still soft, still impressionable, still open. What you plant there grows throughout the entire day. That is why disciplined people guard their mornings. Not because life is easy for them, but because they understand that if you lose control of your mind in the morning, you spend the rest of the day trying to recover from emotional damage that never needed to happen. You do not need louder motivation. You need deeper conviction. You need words that anchor your spirit when life becomes unpredictable. You need truths that remain solid when emotions rise and circumstances shift. The first powerful word you must tell yourself every morning is this: enough. Not spoken with anger. Spoken with awakening. Enough doubting yourself. Enough shrinking your dreams because other people are uncomfortable with your growth. Enough begging for validation from people who cannot even validate themselves. Enough carrying guilt for mistakes that already taught you the lesson. Enough letting your past define your future. Enough abandoning yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. There comes a moment in every person's life when suffering stops being accidental and starts becoming a habit. And the painful truth is this: many people are addicted to their own emotional pain because it became familiar. They stay inside cycles that destroy them because chaos feels normal. They tolerate disrespect because they forgot their worth. They replay old heartbreaks because they secretly fear moving forward. They continue doubting themselves because self-doubt became part of their identity. But healing begins the moment you finally say, enough. That word has power. It draws a line between the old version of you and the new one. It is the moment your spirit stops negotiating with weakness. The Stoics taught that suffering often comes not from events themselves, but from our attachment to them. Think about how many years people waste emotionally chained to things they cannot change. Old betrayal. Old humiliation. Old failure. Old rejection. Meanwhile, life keeps moving. Time keeps passing. Opportunities keep disappearing. But they remain mentally trapped in moments that no longer exist. Marcus Aurelius warned himself constantly about this. He reminded himself not to become a slave to emotion, fear, or external events. Because the mind either governs itself or gets governed by chaos. And maybe nobody ever told you this before, but you are allowed to stop suffering over things that already ended. You are allowed to release what broke you. You are allowed to outgrow pain. You are allowed to become someone stronger than your past. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Every morning when you wake up, tell yourself, enough. Enough excuses. Enough procrastination. Enough self-pity. Enough emotional dependence. Enough waiting for perfect conditions. Enough letting fear make decisions for your future. Because one decision can change a life. And sometimes the decision is simply refusing to stay mentally where suffering wants you to live. The second powerful word is this: calm. The modern world trains people to panic. Everything moves fast. Everyone reacts emotionally. People argue online all day. Stress becomes entertainment. Anxiety becomes personality. And peace becomes rare. But the Stoics viewed calmness as a superpower. Not because calm people never feel emotion, but because calm people refuse to let emotion control them. Imagine how different your life becomes when you stop reacting impulsively. Imagine how much pain disappears when you stop letting temporary feelings create permanent damage. Most regret is emotional. People ruin relationships because of uncontrolled anger. People destroy opportunities because fear overwhelms them. People sabotage themselves because insecurity speaks louder than reason. But a calm mind sees clearly. A calm mind makes better decisions. A calm mind survives storms that break emotional people apart. When chaos enters your life, your first instinct may be panic. But panic solves nothing. It only clouds judgment. The Stoics understood that external events are often beyond our control. But inner stability is always our responsibility. That means even when life hurts, you can still choose dignity. Even when people disappoint you, you can still choose composure. Even when uncertainty surrounds you, you can still choose clarity. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the calmest. Because true strength does not scream. It remains steady. Think about the ocean. The surface may rage with storms, but deep beneath the surface the water remains still. That is how your mind should become. Not fragile. Not reactive. Not easily disturbed. Deep. Grounded. Disciplined. Every morning remind yourself. Calm. Calm when criticized. Calm when ignored. Calm when misunderstood. Calm when life delays your plans. Because emotional control is not weakness. It is mastery. And in a world addicted to chaos, inner peace becomes revolutionary. The third powerful word is one many people desperately need. Rise. There are seasons in life that try to bury you. Moments where disappointment crushes your confidence. Moments where loneliness drains your spirit. Moments where you genuinely question whether you still have strength left. Some people listening right now are emotionally exhausted. You smile around others while silently fighting battles nobody sees. You carry responsibilities that leave you drained. You feel pressure from family, pressure from finances, pressure from expectations, pressure from memories. And some mornings it feels easier to give up than continue. But hear this clearly. Your story is not over. Pain is not proof that life has abandoned you. Difficulty is not evidence that you are weak. The Stoics believed adversity reveals character. Hardship exposes what exists inside you. And sometimes life breaks your comfort because your potential is trapped beneath it. The strongest souls are not formed during easy seasons. They are formed through resistance. Fire strengthens steel. Pressure creates diamonds. And suffering, when approached with wisdom, creates resilience. Every morning you must tell yourself, rise. Rise after heartbreak. Rise after humiliation. Rise after failure. Rise after rejection. Rise after loss. Because no matter what happened yesterday, today is another chance to reclaim your mind. You cannot control who betrayed you. You cannot control who underestimated you. You cannot control who walked away. But you can control whether pain destroys you or transforms you. That choice belongs to you. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves that life owes nobody comfort. But they also believed every human being possesses the power to endure. And maybe you forgot your strength because life became heavy. Maybe disappointment made you question your value. Maybe repeated setbacks convinced you that success belongs to other people. But your spirit is stronger than the circumstances surrounding it. You have survived painful days before. You have carried burdens before. You have endured nights where you thought you would break. Yet somehow, you are still here. Do not underestimate the power of that. The fact that you are still fighting means something inside you refuses to surrender. Protect that part of yourself. Feed that part of yourself. Strengthen that part of yourself. Because the world desperately needs people who know how to rise after suffering. Every morning stand in front of the mirror and say, I rise. Not because life is perfect, but because your spirit refuses to stay defeated. The fourth powerful word is this: trust. So many people destroy their peace because they cannot trust the process of life. They panic when progress feels slow. They compare themselves constantly. They assume delays mean failure. They expect immediate results from long journeys. And when reality moves slower than their expectations, they become discouraged. But Stoicism teaches patience. Nature itself moves patiently. Trees do not grow overnight. Mountains are not formed in a day. The strongest transformations happen slowly, quietly, consistently. Yet modern people expect instant success, instant healing, instant confidence, instant purpose. And because they demand speed, they abandon the process too early. Listen carefully. Not every season of your life is meant for visible victory. Some seasons are meant for inner construction. Some seasons are preparing your character. Some seasons are teaching discipline. Some seasons are removing emotional weakness. Some seasons are teaching you how to survive alone so you never depend entirely on others again. The Stoics understood that life unfolds according to forces beyond personal control. That is why they focus less on outcomes and more on character. Because outcomes fluctuate. But character remains. Trust means believing your effort matters even before results appear. Trust means remaining disciplined even when nobody applauds you. Trust means continuing to grow even when growth feels invisible. Most people quit too soon because they mistake silence for failure. But life often works quietly. Healing happens quietly. Transformation happens quietly. Wisdom develops quietly. The strongest version of yourself is being built in moments nobody sees. That lonely morning. That painful setback. That season where you keep trying despite exhaustion. That is where resilience forms. Every morning remind yourself. Trust. Trust your growth. Trust your resilience. Trust your discipline. Trust that not every delay is denial. Trust that becoming mentally stronger takes time. And most importantly, trust yourself. Because once you stop believing in yourself, fear begins controlling your decisions. The fifth powerful word is the one that changes everything. Become. Most people spend their lives waiting. Waiting for confidence. Waiting for permission. Waiting for ideal conditions. Waiting for somebody else to save them. But Stoicism teaches responsibility. You are responsible for your character. You are responsible for your choices. You are responsible for your mindset. You are responsible for the person you become. And that realization is both terrifying and liberating. Because it means your future is not fully controlled by your past. You can evolve. You can rebuild. You can transform. You can become disciplined even if you were once lazy. You can become confident even if insecurity once ruled your mind. You can become peaceful even if anxiety once consumed you. You can become wise even if you once lived carelessly. Identity is not fixed. Human beings are constantly shaped by repetition. Every thought repeated becomes stronger. Every action repeated becomes habit. Every habit repeated becomes character. And character becomes destiny. That means your daily thoughts matter more than you realize. If every morning you tell yourself you are broken, your behavior eventually reflects it. If every morning you tell yourself life is hopeless, your spirit slowly collapses. But if every morning you remind yourself who you are becoming, your actions slowly align with that vision. That is why disciplined mornings matter. Your morning mindset influences your entire life. Do not underestimate the power of daily self-conversation. The mind listens to whatever voice speaks most often. Make sure your voice becomes one of strength. Every morning say, I become stronger. I become wiser. I become calmer. I become disciplined. I become emotionally free. Because transformation does not happen all at once. It happens one decision at a time. One thought at a time. One morning at a time. And maybe nobody taught you this when you were younger, but your mind must be trained. If you do not intentionally shape your thoughts, the world shapes them for you. Social media shapes them. Fear shapes them. Trauma shapes them. Other people's opinions shape them. And before long you no longer recognize yourself. You become anxious, distracted, emotionally dependent, constantly seeking validation from people who cannot even guide themselves. But Stoicism teaches inner authority. The ability to stand firm within yourself. The ability to remain stable regardless of external chaos. The ability to build a mind that does not collapse every time life becomes difficult. That is true freedom. Not escaping hardship, but becoming mentally strong enough to face it. And understand this deeply. Your life changes the moment you stop speaking weakness into your own spirit. Some people wake up every morning and immediately curse themselves. I'm not good enough. I always fail. Nobody cares about me. My life will never improve. Then they wonder why hopelessness follows them. But the mind believes repetition. If you repeat defeat long enough, defeat becomes identity. That is why you must guard your inner dialogue. Words become emotional architecture. They build your internal world. The Stoics constantly examined their thoughts because they understood something modern people ignore. A person who cannot govern their mind eventually becomes governed by circumstances. And circumstances constantly change. Some days life will reward you. Other days life will wound you. Some people will support you. Others will abandon you. Some seasons will feel beautiful. Others will feel painfully lonely. If your peace depends entirely on external conditions, you will never experience stable happiness. That is why inner discipline matters. That is why mental training matters. That is why these morning words matter. Because your spirit needs anchors. Without anchors, the mind drifts toward fear, toward insecurity, toward bitterness, toward emotional chaos. But disciplined thoughts create disciplined lives. Imagine waking up every morning with purpose instead of panic. Imagine entering difficult situations without emotionally collapsing. Imagine facing criticism without losing self-worth. Imagine carrying peace inside yourself even when life feels uncertain. That level of inner strength is possible. But it requires practice. It requires awareness. It requires intentional thinking. The Stoics did not become mentally resilient accidentally. They trained their minds daily. They reflected constantly. They challenged emotional impulses. They reminded themselves what truly mattered. And above all, they refused to surrender their inner world to external noise. That is your challenge now. Stop feeding your fears. Stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios every morning. Stop speaking failure into your future before the day even begins. You deserve a mind that supports you, not one that destroys you. And yes, healing takes time. Growth takes time. Rebuilding confidence takes time. But every morning becomes another opportunity to strengthen yourself. You do not need perfection. You need consistency. Even small daily mental shifts eventually transform entire lives. One calm morning becomes 2. 2 become 10. 10 become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. Never underestimate what repeated thoughts can do. People destroy themselves slowly through repeated negativity. But they also heal themselves slowly through repeated truth. That is why your morning routine matters more than most people realize. The first thoughts entering your mind each day influence your emotional state, your decisions, your energy, and your behavior. Wake up feeding your fears and anxiety grows. Wake up feeding your strength and resilience grows. The choice belongs to you. And understand something important. Stoicism is not emotional suppression. It is emotional mastery. The Stoics were not cold-hearted people pretending pain did not exist. They simply refused to let pain control their character. They understood that suffering is part of life. Loss is part of life. Disappointment is part of life. But destruction is optional. You can experience pain without becoming consumed by it. You can grieve without surrendering your future. You can fall without staying down. That is strength. Real strength is not pretending nothing hurts. Real strength is continuing to move forward despite the hurt. And many people listening right now need to hear this deeply. You are stronger than your worst moment. You are more valuable than your mistakes. You are more capable than your fears suggest. Do not allow temporary emotions to define permanent identity. Bad moments are not bad lives. Painful seasons are not permanent sentences. Sometimes life isolates you because it is trying to teach you self-reliance. Sometimes failure humbles you because arrogance was blocking your growth. Sometimes heartbreak awakens standards you should have always protected. Everything can teach you. Everything can strengthen you. If you approach life with wisdom instead of bitterness. The Stoics believed obstacles themselves become opportunities. Not because suffering feels pleasant, but because adversity reveals hidden strength. Comfort rarely creates greatness. Pressure does. Challenge does. Responsibility does. Discipline does. And perhaps your current struggles are shaping a stronger version of you that comfort could never create. That does not mean your pain is meaningless. It means your pain can become purposeful. There is a difference. One destroys. The other transforms. So every morning when doubt appears, remind yourself. Enough. Enough surrendering to fear. Calm. Calm despite uncertainty. Rise. Rise despite difficulty. Trust. Trust despite delays. Become. Become despite the past. These are not just words. They are mental weapons. And if repeated consistently, they slowly rewire the way you think. Most people wait for life to change before changing themselves. But the Stoics understood the opposite. Change yourself first. Then your experience of life changes. A disciplined mind experiences hardship differently than an undisciplined mind. One collapses. The other adapts. One panics. The other reflects. One blames. The other grows. That difference changes everything. And maybe right now your life feels messy. Maybe your emotions feel heavy. Maybe you feel behind in life. Maybe loneliness has been eating at your spirit. Maybe you secretly feel exhausted from pretending to be okay. But please understand this. Your current emotional state is not your final form. Human beings are capable of incredible transformation. People who were once insecure become confident. People who were once broken become wise. People who once hated themselves learn peace. People who once felt weak become powerful. But transformation begins internally. Before behavior changes, thoughts must change. Before life changes, mindset must change. That is why your mornings matter. The world already contains enough negativity. Do not become another source of destruction against yourself. Speak strength into your spirit. Speak peace into your mind. Speak discipline into your actions. Because eventually your inner dialogue becomes your outer reality. And if this message is speaking to your soul right now, subscribe to the channel and become part of a community focused on mental strength, emotional discipline, and timeless Stoic wisdom. Every video here is designed to help you reclaim control over your mind and build unshakable inner peace. Never forget this. The quality of your life depends heavily on the quality of your thoughts. A fearful mind creates a fearful life. A disciplined mind creates a disciplined life. A peaceful mind creates a peaceful life. You cannot control every event. But you can influence the lens through which you experience events. That is power. And the moment you realize your thoughts are trainable, everything changes. Because now you stop acting like a helpless victim of emotion. Now you begin becoming the architect of your own mind. That process is not easy. Some mornings you will still feel doubt. Some mornings old fears will return. Some mornings exhaustion will whisper that change is impossible. But discipline means continuing anyway. The Stoics value consistency more than temporary motivation. Anyone can feel inspired for one day. But mentally strong people continue practicing even when emotion disappears. That is how identity changes. Repeated action. Repeated awareness. Repeated discipline. The strongest people are not necessarily the most talented. Often they are simply the most consistent. They keep showing up. They keep rebuilding. They keep learning. They keep rising. And eventually their consistency creates strength others mistake for natural talent. But it was never luck. It was discipline. That same discipline exists inside you. Maybe buried beneath fear. Maybe buried beneath distraction. Maybe buried beneath years of emotional wounds. But it exists. Your responsibility now is to awaken it. Every morning becomes an opportunity to reclaim your mind from negativity. Every morning becomes another chance to strengthen your emotional foundation. Every morning becomes another chance to choose growth over self-destruction. Do not waste that opportunity. Protect your mornings. Protect your thoughts. Protect your peace. Because the world profits from distracted, emotionally unstable people. But a disciplined mind cannot be manipulated easily. A calm spirit cannot be controlled by chaos. A person who knows their worth stops begging for validation. And a person who masters themselves becomes dangerous to mediocrity. That is why Stoicism remains powerful centuries later. Because human nature has not changed. People still fear rejection. People still struggle with anger. People still battle insecurity. People still search desperately for peace. And the Stoics remind us that peace begins internally, not externally. No amount of money can permanently calm a chaotic mind. No relationship can permanently heal someone who refuses to face themselves. No external success can replace inner stability. That is why mental discipline matters more than appearance. More than status. More than applause. Because when life strips everything else away, your mind remains with you. Train it wisely. Feed it wisely. Protect it wisely. One peaceful thought repeated daily becomes emotional strength. One disciplined action repeated daily becomes character. One courageous decision repeated daily becomes transformation. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become someone different. Someone calmer. Someone wiser. Someone harder to break. Someone no longer controlled by every emotional storm. That is the goal. Not perfection. Strength. Not emotional numbness. Wisdom. Not escaping difficulty. Learning how to endure difficulty with dignity. And maybe years from now you will look back at this season of your life and realize something beautiful. The pain that almost destroyed you actually introduced you to your strength. The loneliness that hurt you taught you self-respect. The failures that embarrassed you taught humility. The obstacles that frustrated you taught resilience. Nothing was wasted. Every experience shaped you. Every challenge refined you. Every difficult morning gave you another opportunity to choose growth. That is why you must never surrender to temporary darkness. Storms end. Seasons change. Wounds heal. People evolve. And the person you are becoming may one day inspire others who feel exactly the way you feel now. So tomorrow morning, before the noise of the world reaches you, pause for a moment. Place your feet on the ground. Take one deep breath. And remind yourself. Enough. Calm. Rise. Trust. Become. 5 simple words. But if practiced consistently, they can slowly rewire your mind, strengthen your spirit, and transform the direction of your life. Because the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world. It is against the version of yourself that wants to stay small, fearful, distracted, and emotionally weak. Defeat that version. And you change everything. You were not born merely to survive endless anxiety. You were not born to spend your life trapped in fear. You were not born to hate yourself. You were born with the ability to grow, to adapt, to endure, to rise. Never forget that. And if this message touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who needs strength today, and continue walking this path of Stoic wisdom with us. Because a disciplined mind creates a powerful life. And your transformation is only beginning.